And just wanted to repeat our top story. The boys have been freed and rescued. All the boys are out in Thailand. Props to the Thai folks and more than likely our military that aided in that operation, but we'll probably never hear about it. But big ups to them. Appreciate the boys getting out along with their coach. Good things do happen. Joining us now is a gentleman we've had on before, John Tamny, joining us. The End of Work, Why Your Passion Can Become Your Job. He's the editor of Real Clear Markets and the director of the Center for Economic Freedom at FreedomWorks. Man, I'm trying to think outside the box here, John. What's your passion? You've got like 7 jobs.
Well, you're hearing my passion. I am so lucky that I get to promote through books and op-eds and coming on shows like yours the ideas of liberty on a daily basis. I click my heels every day at how lucky I am to do what I do.
Yeah, but most Americans, I think if you ask them, probably don't feel liberated when they go to work. They feel more oppressed. Do you think that's the exception or the rule?
I think that's increasingly the exception. Think about it this way. Studies more and more show that Americans, while they're allotted, in some instances, unlimited vacation, generally don't do it. And I think what you find is, I get the feeling you love your work, I love mine. I bet you know a lot of people, as I do, who regularly say they never intend to retire because work is where they get to showcase their talents. And so I think we have to look at this in terms of the past. 150 years ago, you had one of two odds of working on a farm your whole life, 6 days a week, dawn to dusk. Didn't matter if you loved it or hated it. It was about survival. Compare that today, the ways in which people make a living. It's increasingly the case that Americans get to showcase what's unique about them on the job, and that's a beautiful thing.
Ever the optimist, but, I'm a big fan of great coaches or great business folks. Like a lot of folks I watch the CNBC show The Profit or Sidney Torres, The Deed. These are self-made folks that come up with these processes and systems, but a lot of Americans find that, the bigger company they work for, the less they are appreciated. Which is more valuable, John, the art of appreciation or making the money? What do you think motivates folks?
Oh, I think there's a little of both. And to be fair, a lot of big companies and a lot of small ones go out of their way to compensate precisely because they want to keep workers around. I mean, let's look at Starbucks. The baristas there not only get health insurance, but they're compensated with a free college education if that's what they desire. And so I think that corporations realize that people want the compensation. That's essential, but they do want to be appreciated. And I read recently in the Wall Street Journal that plumbing companies around the country, desperate to keep plumbers on payroll, are doing everything, including having espresso machines at work, free massages, spa visits, you name it, anything to make these workers realize that we want you there for the long term. In Sacramento recently, a Chick-fil-A said, forget about the minimum wage of 15. We're raising our starting wages to 17 or 19. We want workers to stick around because if they're happy, so will our customers be.
Right. And then you have a lot of people that, kind of go through the motions. Maybe that's why the side hustle business has become such a booming entity. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think the side hustle is an amazing way to get to where you want to go. Okay, I've described that I get to do what I love as a job, but it's not as though I overnight became an economics writer and started writing books. I raised money for a nonprofit in Washington, D.C. for years and years simply because no one would pay me for my op-eds. No one would pay me for my books or for my speeches. And so I did that. That was my side hustle, although it was full-time. It paid the bills so that I could read and write at work at night and on weekends. And so you think about the meaning of Uber and things like that. It frees people up to do something that can be remunerative if you stick to it, but it also maximizes the flexibility of your schedule. It's actors and actresses used to wait tables. Uber is a way for you to make money and pay the bills while you're pursuing what you're passionate about. So I think it's a wonderful thing.
The end of work while your passion can become your job. John Tamny joining us from Washington, D.C. You can also catch his work in Real Clear Markets. So we take a look at the future of work. Not everybody can work in the NFL or the NBA. And you talk to kids, that's really what they want to do. How can you, you know what I'm saying, John? I mean, you have a passion for writing. Not everybody can become a writer. Not everybody has that dedication. So is there a happy medium?
Well, I think what we're seeing is that as the economy grows, more and more people get to do what they really enjoy. Now, football is a great example. The first chapter of The End of Work argues that college football players should major in college football. I argue that it's an incredibly cerebral sport, and why would they not focus fully on developing their skills at it while they're in school? For one, if they make the NFL, their salary will dwarf that of their fellow classmates. Now, you point out most won't make the NFL, and it's a fair point. But look at how football has evolved. When Bill Belichick became an NFL assistant, he was paid $25 a week. You had to have a side hustle back then. Nowadays, the number of NFL assistants who earn in the millions are too many to count. Okay, so that's the NFL. But let's look at college. The average assistant in the SEC earns $400,000 a year. The average assistant in Division I college football earns $253,000. Okay, so that's not enough for you. Let's go to the high school level. In the state of Georgia alone, there are 36 high school football coaches who earn over $100,000 a year. In the Houston Metroplex, there are over 20. And so what we're seeing is this very cerebral sport that was once a hobby can now become a lifelong and remunerative career if that's what you want it to be. Totally different from the past.
John Tamny joining us, The End of Work, Why Your Passion Can Become Your Job. What other, and like I said, John, we're a big fan of yours at Real Clear Markets and Freedom Works. What about the book strikes you the most? What was the most powerful thing in the book that you share?
The one that still stands out to me to this day is, the statistic about Georgia high school football coaches. But what really knocked me over were some things that my wife showed me. My wife literally watches people on a daily basis put on makeup on YouTube. These are people who are passionate about that, and they are now being flown around the world by the top makeup companies, hoping that they'll feature their products while they do what they love. And so my wife, further on, she said, okay, well, let me show you some more stuff. There are people called influencers in this country. They make a living shopping and showcasing what they buy online. So big are their followings that they're earning in the seven figures, literally describing what they're buying, what is interesting them in the stores. And so think about that. 150 years ago, one of two odds you were going to be a farmer. Nowadays, you can literally make a living being a shopper. There are video game players. It's so lucrative in video gaming right now that there are video game coaches who earn over $50,000 a year. There are diet consultants nowadays, but in fact they're diet consultants for the family pet. There are dog walkers who earn in the six figures around the country working 30 hours a week. And so think about the ways in which we can do what we love and actually be paid for it nowadays. So that's what kept knocking me over, is that the stories kept multiplying.
John Tamny joining us as we continue on. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So let's go to your other job, looking at the markets. How's the Trump presidency doing so far? We've gotten a lot of positive reviews. And what about this trade war? What impact will it have on folks like us in Idaho?
I think the trade war will have a negative impact on every single American. And I think it's unfortunate because I think Trump could still be on the verge of a very successful economic presidency. He's been mostly good on taxes. The deregulation's been very, very good. There's been no dollar devaluation, which would be awful for the economy. But trade is crucial. Let's remember that what trade is. When we're open to the world's plenty, that means we have the most talented people on earth competing to give us a bargain. And so we get a raise. We get more and more in return for our paycheck the more that we're open to the world's plenty. But it's not just that. It improves our companies because competition locally improves the product. If we have international competition for our dollar, it's going to improve U.S. companies. But the biggest thing is with trade is when you can divide up the work with the rest of the world, you can specialize. One of the reasons so many Americans get to do what they love for a job is that we let the rest of the world do the work that we don't want to do. And so free trade isn't about killing jobs. It's just an acknowledgement that everyone's got a different skill. And so when you're open to the world's plenty, you can divide up work remuneratively. We're rich precisely because our markets are so open. And so it scares me that Trump would want to move in the wrong direction on this. And obviously the markets don't like it. The stock market was booming until Trump started talking about trade, and I think that's unfortunate.
John, let's talk about the Supreme Court pick. You're in Washington, D.C. We've got the usual suspects behaving as they usually do, screaming, outrage, this is the end of the republic. Terry McAuliffe saying millions are going to die because of Judge Kavanaugh if he gets to be Justice Kavanaugh. Your thoughts at the epicenter of it all?
Oh, what nonsense. What complete nonsense. Let's just look at abortion just for assuming the conservatives on the court say that Roe v. Wade is no longer operable. That doesn't mean an end to abortion. It just means that states would get to choose their laws on abortion. The reality is people view it differently in Utah than they do probably in Nevada. They view it differently in Tennessee than they probably do in California. The only thing conservatives are saying about Roe v. Wade as an example is that whatever your views, we think that this should be something that should be decided more locally by states rather than federally. More broadly, though, I think it's a shame that both sides put so much stock into who's on the bench on the Supreme Court. And the reason it's a shame is that we've perverted the role of the Supreme Court. They're just supposed to interpret things as okay, the Constitution allows for this, it doesn't allow for this, we strike that, we allow this based on the limiting nature of the Constitution. What a shame that we've turned the courts into something whereby we can get what we want, we can get the laws that we want. And I think the left do it in particular, but I think probably the right do it more than they want to admit.
Well, it'll be must-see viewing at least until October. John, back to people that are struggling right now. Maybe they're living a job they don't like. How can you empower them right now? What would you say to them?
Well, what I would say to them is you're not lazy. You're not stupid. You're definitely not stupid. Think about those who are listening right now who are struggling. I guarantee if you think about it, there are a lot of things that you're really good at. And there are a lot of things that you know about more than anyone in your orbit or people even not in your orbit. Everyone's an expert at certain things. Now, the exciting thing about modern times, and that's the point of the book, is that more and more people can showcase that expertise in the marketplace. And so I think that's the source of happiness. If money were the source of happiness, government could write us checks, but that wouldn't bring us happiness. Happiness comes from work. And so my message is it's crucial to find what elevates you. And if you can't make a living doing it right away, guaranteed you will ultimately get to make a living doing what you love. And if it means that you're driving Uber cars right now or doing something else in the meantime to pay the bills, do it. Because if you can get into something where you can showcase your expertise, you'll have exponentially fewer days. And to be clear, everyone can do that because everyone's good at not just something, but a number of things.
The end of work while your passion can become your job. John Tamny, we always appreciate you, and keep cool, brother.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for having me on. You're so nice to do this.
No, we love the knowledge. We'd love to have you back.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you, John. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-OKIDO. As we're talking about with Big John here, here is the latest.
We must ensure that we defeat Brett Kavanaugh. All our rights are at stake.
We are in the fight of our lives.
He is a dangerous man who will endanger our fundamental freedoms. It's just
must not become the next justice on the Supreme Court.
You know, before we get to the end of it, Ray Amaya, can you just hear that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy, underneath that with these guys? Just trying to think. You're the musical genius here. These guys are just going crazy, but pardon the interruption.
And what that will take is all of us fighting as hard and as long as we can.
I am not going to kid anybody. This is a tough fight, but it is a fight that we can win.
You ever just wonder when you are hearing something, whether it's right here at 107.5 FM or 580 AM or on television, you just sit back and you go back to that Talking Heads song and you find yourself, this is not my beautiful home. This is not my beautiful wife. Once in a lifetime, that song. To me, that's what it is when I hear that stuff. You know, last night I'm on the phones, working the phones with people, and I was talking to a friend of mine from Piscataway, or maybe Pocatello, I can't remember, they're all the same. And they said, well, that Amy Barrett, something was wrong with her. I go, no, she wasn't. Amy Barrett was probably too conservative. No, something was wrong because I heard it on the news. And I said to that individual, do you really believe the news? Nobody believes the news. So here you have Brett Kavanaugh, who teaches Catholic Youth Association basketball to preteen girls. And they're making him out like he's a monster, like he's Saddam Hussein, Saddam. I mean, where do these guys, again, they have no credibility. We'll talk about it next. Many of you have given me a hard time today saying you're not down with Kavanaugh. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Your voice, your vote right here with me. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Judge Kavanaugh has a strong background of legal experience and knowledge, and I congratulate him on this high honor. I take seriously my constitutional responsibility to thoroughly review this nomination. As that review is conducted, I have long said that judges at every level of our judicial system must look first and foremost to the Constitution for guidance in all legal matters and interpret it as it is written. Judges must not engage in creating new law by judicial activism from the bench. I look forward to meeting with Judge Kavanaugh once the confirmation process moves forward.
There we have it from Idaho Senator Mike Crapo. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We would love to hear what you have to say on the Kavanaugh pick. If you missed it last night, it was a big one, and we will continue to take a look at that. And for me, I think that this is a good thing. Also coming up in this hour, a very sad, tragic case. You know, when we put together this show, we spend hours upon hours of looking at things. And if you caught Glenn Beck's show yesterday, he was talking about the Netflix special where you have the comedian saying some unfortunate things concerning pro-life people and really trivializing abortions. And listening to that, it's something that I think that we should share together, but just devastating that Netflix is airing this comedian, that Netflix is letting this go on, and we'll probably wait either later in this hour or next hour to share that with you. It is startling that a media entity would get behind that horrible, horrible comedian.
There is no one in America more qualified for this position and no one more deserving.
There you have it. If you voted for President Trump, do you agree with his Supreme Court pick? I do. And I think when you take a look at Judge Kavanaugh, this is someone who can be confirmed, and this is something that will move the court further to the right for quite some time.
As a judge, I hire 4 law clerks each year. I look for the best. My law clerks come from diverse backgrounds and points of view. I am proud that a majority of my law clerks have been women. I am part of the vibrant Catholic community in the D.C. area. The members of that community disagree about many things, but we are united by a commitment to serve.
How can you not be against this guy? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
Rolling along, Liberal Steve Terry Christian. We will get to you in mere moments. Appreciate you holding on. Talking about Judge Kavanaugh, and the president thinks that he's the best. Getting your reaction, and this is what the president had to say.
This incredibly qualified nominee deserves a swift confirmation and robust bipartisan support.
Well, we'll see about that. Joining us now from New York, our political expert, just kidding, Tanya J. Powers of Fox News Radio. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Hey, shout out to Liberal Steve.
Oh, please don't encourage him.
Come on. I haven't heard from Liberal Steve in a while, so I had to kind of, say hello.
I could very easily conference him right in, and it wouldn't be good for any of us.
Look at your show, so.
No, sure it is. Yeah. Earlier, the last hour, I had people saying, well, I want to cede my time to somebody else. And I'm going, no, this isn't Parliament. You can't do that. But anyway.
Cede their time. That's interesting.
It is. So Tanya J. Powers joining us, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. Today's a big day for these families that have been separated. A lot of continued swirling and controversy going on about this.
Yeah, it is. You've got, according to the government, at least 54 kids will be reunited with their parents today. There's a couple of important deadlines to note. This is one of them. July 26th is the second one. The one today is for the kids under the age of 5. 54 of those children will be, according to the government, reunited with the parents. The total number is about 100 or so that are covered by that order for the kids under 5. They are working on final background checks for 5 more of them, or have had been, according to things that were filed before the deadline today. As far as what will happen to the other ones under the age of 5, some of them, their parents have been deported. Some of them, their parents are behind bars on criminal charges. As far as the second deadline, that is for kids over the age of 5. That is July 26th.
Boy, I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, that's kind of remains to be seen. What we've gotten from the folks at ICE say that the parents in their custody, for the most part, are being taken to locations near their kids, and the families will be released. They aren't giving the locations out, obviously, but the kids, as we already know, they're in shelters across the country. So the idea is to take the parents closer to the children. They, from what we understand, and remember, many of these are asylum seekers, they will be released while their stuff goes through the court system. They'll have ankle bracelets on to monitor them, that kind of thing.
What do you make of the president's comments this morning? Did you check those out when he was heading off to Europe?
I was actually talking to other affiliates at the time, so I didn't get all of his comments. I just heard some of them.
Oh, no worries there. He just said, hey, you don't want your kids separated, don't come to America. Now I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's right in line with some of the things he said before.
How dare you talk to other people besides us? Here we thought we were the center of the universe.
I can't believe I admitted that myself. I'm just apologies.
What's that? Oh, you're cheating heart. What was that? Is that a song or something like that?
Wow.
Feeling pretty good. I was talking to a Georgia fan yesterday. That was great.
A Georgia fan?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Somebody from Freedom Works, and said he was from Georgia. And I go, oh, you Bulldog. Oh, yeah, we're proud. I go, ooh, Tua Tagovailoa. That was the end of him.
Wow.
It's going to be a snob, at least for a little while.
Winning friends and influencing people as usual, I see.
No truer words have ever been spoken on this radio show.
Glad I could be a part of it.
A welcomed part of it. I'm glad you could fit us in. But anyway, we do appreciate you. And Tanya J. Powers, thank you for giving us a laugh this morning.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, our great friend Tanya J. Powers. Now, here's something that's interesting. Hey, I got your boy on the other line. Do you want to come on and smack him, or do you just want to talk about yourself or with yourself?
No, I'm going to talk about Tea Party Bob today.
Oh, you're going to attack. So I got Liberal Steve here. You usually smack him, but you're...
He's so pathetic. Come on. Be kind. He can't help himself. He just is what he is.
Terry, formerly of State College, Pennsylvania, on KIDO Talk Radio. Okay, I gave you an opportunity, so...
I know you did, but
he's going to come after you when you're done.
oh, whatever, hey, the Shepherds are sitting here beside me. How's that?
Roger that.
Hey, no, I've just had 30 days of trout fly fishing. I'm feeling pretty passive right now.
Sure.
Hey, Kevin, I agree with you. I mean, Kavanaugh wouldn't have been my pick, but I think sometimes as conservatives, we want everything back that Obama took from us during those 8 years. We want everything all at once. If we can get just one thing, and my one thing and hope is pro-life again. I mean, look at the position he has taken. I really feel that we have an opportunity here. And, I will argue up and down all day long with anybody that claims that there's something more important than life itself. And if we can return that back, I can see God saying, let me bless you guys again. I mean, what more could we ask for?
True. Now, you said you wanted to take on Tea Party Bob.
No, I was just thinking, what was this? When was the last time, when we were up at Dick's Diner? Is it Dick's Diner there in Meridian? It was about 6 years ago.
Ed's,
the governor was there.
Ed's 50s Cafe, that's right.
Ed's 50 Cafe. I just remember at that point in Bob's life, he didn't even know where to get the news at. And I gave him that list of places where he'd get the news. I mean, he didn't know Zero Hedge or any of those guys. I think Bob has come a long ways. But Bob is still Bob.
Well, that's why we love him.
That's why we love him. Yeah. I mean, hey, he's allowed to think he knows it all. We know the truth, but Bob's a good man. He really is. And what would we do without that? Yeah. That New Yorker on there. I mean, we've got an original New Yorker. What other station in town can say that?
Or that has worked with Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, Donald Trump's personal friend. Yeah,
he knows Donald Trump. Yeah.
That's why he was able to get you an interview during the campaign. Interesting.
Well, I didn't ask, but fair enough. I don't really ask for anything.
Let's thank God for this one. That we've got a Christian conservative going in to the Supreme Court. How close will he follow the Constitution? I hope to the latter, but it's better than another Ginsburg or. Speaking of Ginsburg, she really could not make it. I mean, she's fallen asleep during different hearings. I mean, she's in bad shape.
She'll be next.
And I think maybe perhaps sooner than we think. But, boy, what a blessing that would be. Oh, my.
Well, you're like Liberty Linda. You're already in the prediction business.
Well, I've visited the pyramids, I've talked to the mummies.
Oh, boy.
And I can tell you what's coming next week. But we won't go there today, right?
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Kevin, you have a great day. Thanks for the job you're doing.
Thank you, Terry. Boy, Liberal Steve's going to have to wait a little longer. Tea Party Bob joins us now from the Gem State Patriot. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. I hope we're not pressed for time this morning.
Between Max saying I don't email him back and you know how it is. It's, the show's moving along.
It's a difficult job doing what you do. Yes, indeed.
Sometimes we run out of time.
Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. I was a loser.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
Indeed. Yes. Yesterday I felt like a pistachio still left in my shell.
Wow.
Anyway, Trump made a great pick for the Supreme Court, probably the one who will be the least and have the least resistance from the Democrats, and I say that tongue-in-cheek. You're going to hear screaming and hollering from one end to the other now that Kavanaugh is out there. He's going to be confirmed one way or another. This appointment, along with Gorsuch's appointment, has really set the stage for a long period of having a Constitution basically interpreted as it is written and not as a living document, which is what the liberals were doing. I thought that Amy Barrett would have been his choice, but she was just a bit too controversial and would have had too much resistance, more than Kavanaugh. However,
now I'd like you to address all the conservatives that called in, smacking Kavanaugh, smacking me for supporting Kavanaugh.
No, I think Kavanaugh is probably the best choice. He's got the most written material out there. He's going to be the easiest to get confirmed. There's not a lot that the Democrats can really say against this guy. What are they going to say? He goes to the Catholic Church and he He coaches basketball for the girls. I mean, come on, let's face it. There's nothing bad about this guy. He's about as clean as Gorsuch. I do think that if we get another opportunity and Ginsburg bites the dust or retires between now and the time Trump is finished with his hopefully 2 terms, Amy will be probably be appointed to the court. I'm sure he's going to get a woman on there. With Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, we actually may have a chance of returning the decision on abortion back to the states. That would be the first step in righting this terrible wrong since Roe versus Wade in 1973. Now, I want to remind people that over 60 million babies have been aborted since that infamous date, and over 8 million of those performed by Planned Parenthood. Think about that. It's 20% of the current U.S. population. It's a terrible thing to remember. It's a terrible thing to think of. And hopefully this is going to be changed. More importantly, we will have our Constitution interpreted as it was originally written, not how the liberals would like to rewrite it. And now that Trump is at the helm of the ship, we are now firmly seeing him turn this country around after 8 years of tyrannical reign by Obama. So I'm very encouraged. I'm not worried about the trade war because I don't think it's a war. If you keep calling it a trade war, you have to go back about 20 or 30 years to see the start of it because it began back with NAFTA and even a little bit before then. So we're on the right road. Let's just stay there. I hope you have a wonderful day, Mr. Miller, and say hello to Liberal Steve for me because I know he's going to have something stupid to say.
Tea Party Bob, the Gem State Patriot. Thank you, sir.
Have a great day, my friend.
You too, our great friend. Joining us now, the topic of conversation. Tanya J. Powers gives him a shout-out, Terry a smack, and Tea Party Bob a pop. Liberal Steve joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning.
You know, Miller, nobody cares who's put in there a Supreme Court justice judge. I mean, there's 9 of them. You got the head guy that makes $255,000 a year, and all the other 8 make $245,000 a year. Nobody knew who this guy was other than the people on the inside. You got how many nurses going into St. Luke's, both male and female? How many doctors? How many lawyers driving down the freeway today? How many priests? Nobody knows who this guy was, and then everybody's saying he's good, he's bad, he's going to judge this way. The thing is, he's just another sucking on the taxpayers, breath, stealing our money. Why do we need 8 people, 9, one head one, to tell the other ones what to do? That's $700 a day for the cheap ones, for the 8, making $244 a year. That's $700 a day. And the average American couldn't even tell you who 6 out of the 9 were. Well, I couldn't even tell you who 5 out of the 9 were. Because you know why, Miller? I don't care. As far as a woman that wants to have an abortion and kill her child or destroy her baby while it's still a fetus, no one's going to stop that. Nobody. It's been going on since the beginning of time.
Well, I think that's reassuring then to the Democrats because they're worried about Roe versus Wade getting the boot. You're saying that don't worry about it. It's going to be great.
They're politicians, both Democrat, Republicans, the independents. They worry about everything. It's just ridiculous how much attention we pay to the upper echelon, the 1%.
I think that's great. I mean, why do we need a Supreme Court? Because it's in the Constitution.
Well, sure, it's in the Constitution.
But
I
don't know about you, and you can go your Nilly and Willie, but some of us obey the law and love America. I don't know about you.
Why? You love America, Miller?
I love America. Do you love America?
Then why would you pay
$700 a day? Do you love America? Do you love America?
Yes, I do, and because I love America, I think we could get some judge to do the job that's just as smart.
Maybe we could get you. Maybe we could get you to do the job
for about $80,000 a year.
We could get you to do it for $650 an hour.
Well, yeah, you know what I'd say on everything. It's freedom, baby. Do what you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Well, that's
period.
That's an astute, and how should I put this?
Goodbye, Miller.
An intellectual comment there. Quite intellectual there, Liberal Steve. Quite erudite, which means smart. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Hell no on Kavanaugh! Hell no on Kavanaugh!
All of us fighting as hard and as long as we can must not become the next justice on the Supreme Court.
There we have it, the freak show already going after poor Judge Kavanaugh. Good morning, Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Christian in Weezer, good morning.
Hey, good morning. The freak show, that's pretty impressive. It's kind of funny. All these people were basically staged and set. It was like a big production. They were waiting, and it didn't matter who he said. It didn't matter who he picked. They were there, ready to go. In fact, it was like 5 or 6 days ago, saw a video where they were interviewing college students. And they said, what do you think of Trump's new pick for the Supreme Court? Oh, man, it's the worst. Days before he even chose one. So, obviously, it was all, this is all set up. It's all staged. Many of them are probably paid. I don't know. He could have come out there and said, Gandhi is going to be the next Supreme Court, and they would have just been outraged and screaming and gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair and, oh, my God, the world's over. And it's never going to change. But, they were in place. It was all set up and staged and ready to go before just anticipating. As soon as he says the name, okay, guys, ready? Ready? As soon as he says the name, all right, don't start screaming. Oh, my God, the world's ending. And sadly, the news covering it is what makes it seem so poignant. But that's our world today, I guess.
Well, the news media is morally bankrupt. These protesters are inauthentic. And if he weren't a lib, wouldn't it have been funny if he nominated Merrick Garland, who was the darling of the libs, if they would that have shut him up?
Wouldn't it have been funny if he nominated Hillary Clinton? Their heads would have exploded.
Yeah, I know.
It would way to jump.
Well, she was looking for something to do.
Yeah. Anyway, God bless you and keep up the good work and keep everyone honest.
All right, Christian Weezer, thank you very much. Traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave.